All right.
Okay, Rodney, Stuart, Donna, we have a full house. It is June 24th, 2025. This is the meeting for the statewide administrative charging committee for the state of Maryland. We're calling the meeting to order. I think we have a couple of little agenda items. I'm not sure if we're going to do this in open session or closed session. These will be open session.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So we have a guest online. Ms. Boardman, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, give me 1 second to turn
Okay.
the camera. Good morning, all. My name is Tiana Boardman. I'm just here to observe. I came across the Administrative Charging Committee website and saw that there were public meetings, so here I am.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
When we go into closed session, you have the choice to either go into a waiting room, like a breakout room, or you could just leave the call. When we're done with the closed session, if you do decide to go into a waiting room, I will bring you back once it's done. But I will let you know it could be lengthy because we have a lot of allegations that we hear every week, every month. So that's up to you. We can figure that out when that time comes.
Okay, yeah, waiting room should be fine. And if I need to go, I'll just go.
Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Do we want to discuss new chair first?
Well, we need to elect a chair. I have been doing the acting chair since February of 2024. And with Stuart stepping down, I continue for this month, we should have an election. I will tell you, I'm willing to continue to sit, but I think if I do this, I only want to do it for a total of a 2-year period.
I think because the chair has officially resigned, the proper thing to do would be finish out this fiscal year and then elect a new chair to begin officially July 1.
Fiscal year July 1, so next month
Yes.
to start. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the committee should have a motion on those two issues. Who's going to finish out this current fiscal year, and then make a motion.
Well, this current fiscal year, this is
This
today's
is it.
meeting.
It's
Right.
today.
Yes.
And I said I would do today's meeting.
Okay.
So would anybody like to be the chair?
Nope, I'm quite all right with you, Rob.
Jeff Mitchell?
No.
Rodney?
Rodney?
Bob, I'm okay with you because right now I'm not where I can do that.
Okay. I am willing to take the position of the chair, but I
think the appropriate thing is to have a nomination
okay.
and then a vote.
Okay.
So
I
someone should,
I nominate Bob.
I'm not going to second it.
Well,
I'll second that, Donna.
But I think we.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
So there's a nomination that's first. We have a second from Judge Mitchell. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
You had one nay.
opposed.
Motion carries. Motion carries.
I do think we ought to prepare and discuss in some form, at some point in the future, the continuing responsibility, because I know you can't take it forever. You've done a yeoman's responsibility for the period in days, and so I'm not sure it was appropriate to do it at this time or later to the future.
That brings us to our next part.
Okay.
Is the SOPs.
Yeah.
Because that's the next thing we need to vote on. So I am going to share the tag. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Okay.
I
so
reviewed the SOP online already.
Okay, so one of the things, and Rodney, I'll read it off since you are not on the video. The two pieces that need to be discussed further is ACC members will serve a number, we're not sure, year term limit. The second piece that we need to discuss further is the chairperson will serve for 1 year. The meeting prior to the term ending, members will nominate and elect a chairperson. A chairperson can serve back-to-back terms. So those two highlighted lines are what need to be discussed, which goes to where Judge Mitchell was leading to.
Okay.
So do we have a number of years term limit for an ACC member that we'd like to discuss?
I think I would propose, we consider looking at a 4-year term limit. And there, you can be reappointed for a second 4-year term limit. And I'm not sure, I know I had this in one of my comments, but after that, I'm sorry, I would just also want to make sure that we understand that a member, even if their term limit expires, they continue to serve until the replacement has been named and trained. And that's somewhat consistent with what other agencies have.
I would recommend adding the word may.
May be reappointed?
No, may continue to serve until they're replaced. Because there could be some unforeseen personal reason that somebody needs to, like we just recently experienced, resign effective immediately.
Mhm. Well, I think anybody can resign at any time. That's a, now we get into nuances. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like the proposed language would suggest you couldn't leave, that you have to stay until your replacement arrives. So I think by adding the word may, right, you know, if you decide I've got to resign, you know, for whatever reason, I just got a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. I'm not staying waiting around for the appointments office to get somebody new in here. Tomorrow I will not be on the committee. That's good. So, okay, yeah.
Okay. And then the other piece is how often do we want to nominate a chairperson? Bob already mentioned 2 years, so we want to go with 1 year or 2 year, knowing that it
I
can be
think
terms.
I think 2 years would be appropriate.
I agree.
Is that 2 years for one each term for a total the possibility of 4?
Yes.
And did we want to establish term limits for members?
That's
So
what we
that-
just did.
Limits. Terms. So the appointed members, we can call it member A, B, C, D, E, and we should have dates in which their term would begin, so that we could stagger, so we don't have all 5 members leaving at the same year.
I feel like that would be tough to do because we don't know when they will be appointed.
And
that's
no,
our-
what we would do is we would establish a date in which your term begins, your initial term. And then from there, your 4-year term would begin. And then if you leave and then somebody replaces you, that person picks up the term.
Finishes your term.
Finishes that term. So everybody could be categorized A, B, C, D, or E, which means we'll have 2 people that will have the same year. And that way we can rotate people on an annual basis if need be, if they're not reappointed.
Yeah, I think that I would recommend coordinating that with the appointing authorities, the governor, the speaker, and the president of the Senate.
The problem is I think we need to tell them how we're going to do our business, because the governor's office is looking at their 3 appointees and the speaker and the president. That's different, but I think we ought to just let everybody know this is how it's operated. Yeah, I think our policies we should share with them, and say, unless you have a problem, this is a
Right.
policy.
Yeah, I agree.
Matthew, do any of these changes require COMAR changes?
None of these do.
Where it
We-
says the ACC members will serve a 4-year term limit. I don't have the COMAR in front of me. The part that says they can be reappointed, does that require a change? If it says they serve a 4-year term limit,
So, let me double check because, there was a lot of deference in COMAR given to the local governing bodies, meaning the counties, and then they set it up however they were going to do it. There were no limitations on the statewide ACC in COMAR. Taking a quick look, and for reference, that would be Title 12 COMAR 12040904 is the State Administrative Charging Committee and local charging committees, but that's where it discusses this kind of.
I mean, you have a reference to .04H that says ACC members will serve a 4-year term limit. And that,
To H2, this is the language from H, terms of appointment subject to H2 of this regulation, and to the extent such limitation are permitted by law, the term for each appointed ACC member may be limited to a specified period of time.
okay, so that's not really what the regulation.
Yeah, the regulation doesn't set any term
Say.
limit.
Doesn't say 4-year term limit. Okay.
No.
All right, so do we want to vote these SOPs in? Or do we want to put them before Madam Flash first?
Are they all the
Repeat
changes?
that again, Carrie. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Or do we need to put it before Adam Flash's office?
So
First.
Adam works for the governor, right? The governor makes 3 appointments. The governor doesn't appoint
Correct,
the other 2.
correct.
So, the governor is not the governing body over the ACC. So
Yes.
Bob's suggestion was that adopt the SOPs whenever you agree on the committee agrees on a final version, and then share them with the governor's office, the Senate, President of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House, and say, these are our SOPs.
So are we ready to vote these in? Yes, to answer your question, all the changes that were submitted to me have put it there.
Can I just ask that we don't hold a vote? Why don't we take these changes? Why don't we all review them? And let's adopt them next month.
Next week.
And
Perfect.
Give it one more review.
Perfect. Sound good, Donna, Rodney?
Yes, we're fine. I'm fine with that.
Works.
Sounds good to me as well, but the question I have is whether we are going to put the staggered term limits, as we suggest, into the new document, as part of the new document that we'll consider next month.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what we'll do is we will define each member as, we'll do it A through E. And we'll have the their first year of service. So we started in 21, so we'll have 21, 22, 23, 24. And so if you're appointed, you're first, and you're 24, and your first term just started January 1st of this year.
Okay, so I will leave that highlighted. We need to go in and
Yeah.
put in the defined terms.
Yeah, and I can help you with that.
Perfect.
And what is the limit on those terms?
4 years.
4 years, so you serve 4 years and then you rotate off the committee. And your appointing authority will replace you.
They can reappoint you,
And,
but they would have to reappoint you.
and is there a limit on the number of reappointments you can have, or the number of years you may serve on the term?
It's a total of 8 years. Or, no, it's 8 years plus your initial stub term.
Yes.
So if you are starting in, your term started in 24, then that, your first 4-year term will begin in 24. I mean, it's,
I think the concept would be that those who are adopting this will be exempted from the 2-term 8-year limit. So there'll be the 2 4 years or 8 years plus whatever led up to
yeah,
service led up to it. The previous service, in other words, does not count toward the limit.
right. And if somebody were to leave in the middle,
Yes.
okay, moving forward, whoever replaces them would finish the term.
Yes.
So in theory, they could go more than the 8 years, but this way we'll keep the dates in which they would roll off consistent. So we can,
So would the first official date under these SOPs be July 1, 2025? And then figure out where the stagger comes in.
we can work with July, whatever. Because we really started in January, although the program officially started in July, we didn't get
Yeah.
going. But
But July is the fiscal year for the state, and this effective date was July 1st, 2022.
we can,
Yeah.
July.
So we can propose some stagger dates.
I'll,
Okay,
I'll,
Okay, okay.
okay.
Is there any other new business?
The last thing is the Open Meeting Act and the new closed session statement. I don't know if you wanted to give any background on that.
Yeah, so just for the committee, for background purposes, we actually had a Public Information Act request related to our work here for the commission, for the Police Training and Standards Commission. And there were some challenges to the way some of those meetings were held under the Open Meetings Act, with regard to notifications, with regard to posting of the agendas, with regard to how the commission went into closed session and so on and so forth. And with regard to going into a closed session, the compliance board had made some suggestions that the closing statements the commission was making to go into closed session were too broad and not specific enough, so that the public hearing those statements would not have a clear indication of what was going to be discussed in the closed session. For instance, a common one is to discuss a personnel matter related to an individual over which the commission has jurisdiction. And just basically parroting the language from the general provisions article was not deemed enough. So the compliance board said it needs to be a little more specific. And so while that's a different commission, we interact with that commission and work with and for that commission. And so we thought it would be advisable to go ahead and take the lesson from the Police Training and Standards Commission case, apply it to this public body, and then slightly alter the statement before going into closed session to provide a little more information to the public, so they would know what is being discussed in the closed session.
So, are we ready to go to closed session?
can I get a motion?
Well, do you want to talk about that language?
Yeah, it's the language and make our going into closed session.
Yeah, so it would sound like this, just
Okay.
going forward. This was an example.
All right, it's proposed that the ACC open session of its 33rd meeting on June 24th be adjourned to closed session. The session will be closed under authority of General Provisions Article 3-305B, Annotated Code of Maryland, subsection 1, to discuss the appointment and employment of an individual over whom the commission has jurisdiction, specifically to render a decision as to whether to charge police officers from Maryland State Police, Maryland Transit Administration, Maryland Capitol Police, and Maryland Transportation Authority with police misconduct. Subsection 2 is to protect the privacy or reputation of an individual with respect to a matter that is not related to public business, specifically the police officers from Maryland State Police, Maryland Transit Administration, Maryland Capitol Police, Maryland Transportation Authority, against whom allegations of misconduct were made, and subsection 7, to consult with counsel and obtain legal advice regarding the applicability of the Police Accountability Act as applied to the officers accused of police misconduct. The matters to be discussed are administrative hearing cases from state police, transit, capital, transportation. So that's how it will read now. It just breaks out. Before I used to just read the section numbers. Now we break it out with the specific section and how it applies.
The agencies that you mentioned, are those the agencies, the cases?
Today,
that are in today?
yes.
I
And
thought-
each week that will change.
I thought we also
Or
had
each
one
month.
for University of Maryland College.
We did get one late. I will add that when I officially read it.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that being said, can I get a motion to go into closed session?
I motion to go into closed session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Closed
Okay,
session.
let me read the official into, yes.
Is Tiana?
Yes, I will, once I read this, I will put her in a waiting room. Okay. It is proposed that the statewide administrative charging committee's open session of its 33rd meeting on June 24th, 2025 be adjourned to a closed session. The session will be closed under the authority of General Provisions Article 3-305B, the Annotated Code of Maryland. Subsection 1, to discuss the appointment and employment of an individual over whom the commission has jurisdiction, specifically to render a decision as to whether to charge police officers from Maryland State Police, Maryland Transit Administration, Maryland Capitol Police, Maryland Transportation Authority, University of Maryland College Park with police misconduct. Subsection 2, to protect the privacy or reputation of an individual with respect to a matter that is not related to public business, specifically the police officers from Maryland State Police, Maryland Transit Administration, Maryland Capitol Police, Maryland Transportation Authority, University of Maryland College Park, against whom allegations of misconduct were made. And subsection 7, to consult with counsel and obtain legal advice regarding the applicability of the Police Accountability Act as applied to the officers accused of police misconduct. The matters to be discussed are administrative hearing cases from Maryland State Police, Maryland Transit Administration, Maryland Capitol Police, Maryland Transportation Authority, and University of Maryland College Park. Okay, let me go get our friends. Nope, wrong one. No. Disconnected. Okay.
I'm surprised.
Yes. All right. Statewide ACC conducted a closed session on June 24th, 2025 from 1:25 p.m. to 3:20 p.m. to render a decision on 31 allegations as to administratively charged or not administratively charged police officers with police misconduct. Members voting were Robert Brennan, Don Brown, Rodney Burrell, and David Mitchell. Decisions rendered were as follows. Maryland State Police, 5 administratively charged, 8 not administratively charged, 1 returned to the agency for clarification. Maryland Transit Administration, none administratively charged, 1 not administratively charged, 1 returned to the agency requesting body-worn camera footage. Maryland Capitol Police, 1 administratively charged, 1 not administratively charged. Maryland Transportation Authority, 4 administratively charged, 6 not administratively charged. University of Maryland College Park, 3 administratively charged, none not administratively charged. The order?
We are in open session.
We are in open session.
One of the things I think we just need to talk about, and probably should have done that earlier, was in today's training, they talk about confidentiality. And I think everybody's aware of their obligation to confidentiality. But should we make that part of our opening statement when we do our declaration that we read the files? this information is confidential, or should we create a form that we sign annually to remind ourselves that the information we have is being done confidential?
I don't know about you all, but when I was sworn in, I actually had, that was a part of my my swearing in, that I was sworn to confidentiality.
Judge Mitchell and I never got sworn in
Never got
because
out.
this morning.
Oh,
But that's
really?
what happened. when we all got sworn in at Towson.
We're special.
Okay.
Where did your ceremony occur?
Where did mine occur?
Yes.
At City Hall here in Baltimore.
Did the governor's office send you a commission?
Yep.
Okay, see, we don't, neither Bob and I received commissions from our appointed authorities.
We should say.
I was sworn.
There is something in there about confidentiality, understanding that there is confidentiality, but we
In
don't
where?
have any in the SOPs.
And it's in the statute.
Yeah. But we don't have anything official statement or swearing in or anything.
Only Donna.
And Donna Rodney and the new member to be named later.
So I was also sworn in at in Towson, and I also have a certificate from the governor's office.
It is also on the written opinions as well, that it's understood the confidentiality.
Matt, do
Yeah,
you think the confidentiality statement that we sign annually, or just?
I mean, that's for you guys to decide if you want to.
The written opinions, Carrie pointed, that we acknowledge.
That's it on there.
But I initial them, they should be reviewed by every member.
We all, with the statute is sufficient. We're all responsible for the statute.
Okay.
I like your opinion.
On another note, I had an email from Adam Flash, really kind of in response to your email to him, as to whether the request should go directly to the appointments office. What I read in your email was you were saying, hey, Adam, talk to the appointments office. But for some reason, he's asked the question, should the ACC
I know Molly.
in the appointments office, you want to just send your mail message? Sure. Okay. And I'll tell him that's what we'll do. Very well. The ACC will contact the appointments office to fill the vacant position.
Anything else? Donna, Rodney?
No, I'm good here.
Make a motion for the meeting to adjourn.
I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
I know everybody's in favor. Thank
All right, thank you.
you.
Alrighty, have a great one, you all.